Hello, everybody. Today's Thursday, 5/14/2015, and I'd like to bring you something. HSBC warns clients world economy is like the Titanic, and there aren't enough lifeboats to save you. Okay? Basically, HSBC chief economist Stephen King warned clients this week about the impending demise of the world's economy. In a letter to HSBC clients, King warned the world economy is in the ocean, is an ocean liner without lifeboats. If another recession hits, it could be a truly titanic struggle for policymakers. In the event we hit an iceberg, and there isn't enough lifeboats to go around. And basically, Jeremy Grantham, co-founder and chief investment strategist of Grantham Mayo Van Otterloo, has been telling investors for the last year to watch for 2016. He warns that stocks are 65% overhauled or overvalued, and says the bubble will burst around the 2016 presidential election. Something like a bad replay of 2008 financial crisis that broke right before the elections. Folks, that bubble hurt a lot of people I knew. And I'll be honest, it almost came down to where we lost the family home, and the family almost was on the streets. And, there was a 2-week period my father in General Motors wasn't employed. They didn't know whether or not they could keep the doors open. Everything hit the ground so bad. I mean, gas prices were up to what, $4.50, something like that in Michigan? I mean, it was insane. And, I mean, it was bad. I mean, we were really, really hurting in Michigan. And I don't want to see that ever again, but everybody's saying the world banks are basically closing their doors and they're restructuring the whole damn system. And they're saying even worse than that because it's going to be stretched out. And if that's true, that means every family is going to have all their kids back home. That's the safest way to have all the income in one household. Screw the little shit-faced apartments and all the cars. Get your family in one location and keep them safe. Shit does hit the fan, get your family to another location that you have set up in the woods or something, a nice cabin that you've been putting away or some land, whatever you got to do. But this is coming down, folks. Everybody and their uncles are saying this. This is no longer a conspiracy. This is the real thing. Okay, so basically, since the economy crisis in 2008, President Obama has almost doubled the national debt. On the last President Bush's term, the national debt was $10.62 trillion, and it's ballooned to over $18 trillion during the same period. Welfare has grown out of control. 1 in every 5 U.S. millennials lives in poverty, and almost 2/3 of children in the U.S. now live in a home that receives assistance from at least one government welfare system. All right, folks, it's going to tell you how to prepare for an economic collapse. But ladies and gentlemen, if it truly hits the ground, there's nothing you can do. You can have all the money in the world. It won't matter. You can go ahead and read this for yourself. I'm going to go ahead and switch views real quick. And there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it basically says. Start an emergency fund. Get out of debt immediately. Yeah, that's nice. Start cutting expenses. Invest long-term consumables. Take a serious look at your defense. If collapse happens, one of the biggest threats he's going to face is from people looking to take advantage of your situation. Yeah. So basically, folks, if this does happen, and everybody's saying it will eventually, so there's going to be a lot of problems. I mean, you think these little hiccups now and then are anything? You think a guy from a religious background who did a bombing in XYZ has problems? What are you going to do when out of 300 and nearly 70 million Americans, 223 million now all of a sudden have no money? What are you going to do? When you have that many people who will no longer be able to feed their families, no longer be able to feed their next door neighbor if they need help, what are you going to do? Okay, you have guns. What are you prepared to do? You can't go house to house and kill 3, 4, 500 people. You can't do that. The best thing you could do is get the hell out of Dodge. That would be it. There's nothing else. What are you prepared to do? Anything? I've seen the videos online. You go to your safe house out in the woods somewhere, right? That nice little 5, 8 acre area that you have set up for a rainy day, right? I've seen the videos online. You don't anticipate somebody extra in the group, and you end up having to take your daughter's boyfriend with you. And about a week in, you find him trading with the groups that you chased out a week ago because they want food, and he finally gave them food. And now a week later, you got to hustle them and everybody else to the basement and the sub-basement for protection because that whole group of people, which is about 10 people, are now raiding that main home. This is no longer fun and games. This is serious. And if it does come down to that, folks, everybody and their uncles is up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. I mean, there is nothing left. And, everybody says, 2008 was bad, but this is going to be worse. Of course it's going to be worse. They're going to bring down everything in order to, switch up into a single world currency if that ever completely comes together. And you're saying, that can't happen. Yes, it can. It really can. We've seen with Bitcoin that they've done little starter editions to see how people would react. We saw with the Facebook currency how people would act. These are just little test runs here and there. I mean, I don't know what it would be called. I mean, I think that for them to drop a single currency, it would be insane. I think, if anything, they would drop the Amero, which they were supposed to do like 4 years ago and never did. And that'd be a currency for North America all the way down. So, I don't really know what's going on, folks, but I do know that it is coming down. I mean, all my big-time buddies right now, when they do a $24 million transaction, and they got to do it between currencies, the banks float it over as the same currency just so they don't lose hundreds of dollars in the transaction. I mean, they literally have to say, you want a standard of $2 billion. Okay, fine. We'll trade $2 billion for $2 billion. And sometimes, depending on what bank you're with, if you're in Africa trading with Switzerland, they might not even do that. I don't know exactly how everything works, but, these big-time guys, they're losing money hand over fist in some of these parts of the world, and that's ridiculous. So, it's coming soon, folks. It's just a matter of time.